This time, Krishnamurti addresses the question of relationship. What is our part in this most profound interaction with another? In looking deeply, can we see ourselves and our actions clearly? Alone in your room, you may be perfect, but things become more complex once a spouse, friend, child, fellow citizens, and world neighbors enter that space. In 1985, Krishnamurti said, "As you observe in a mirror your face, you observe your reactions without any distortion, and that can only be done in a relationship with another." Relationship, then, becomes the mirror in which you can see yourself exactly as you are. Looking in the mirror of relationship.
Life is a movement in relationship. You may meet in bed, but each one is pursuing different lines. That's like two parallel lines never meeting. And this is called relationship, in which there is no actual sense of love. So why do human beings so technologically intelligent, such extraordinary capacity and energy, why human beings have not solved this most essential question, problem? You may meditate, you may seek enlightenment, you may follow the latest guru, the latest expression of whatever you are following, but if you have not solved this problem, all your spiritual attainments and technological achievements have no value at all. Because our life is relationship. Similarly, if we have not resolved this essential, basic question of relationship, which is at present isolating it from each other. This isolation must inevitably breed all kinds of misery, confusion, hatred, anger. So is it possible to have a relationship in which there is no conflict whatsoever? To understand the full meaning of relationship with each other, however close, however distant, we must begin to think, we must begin to understand why the brain creates images. I hope we're following each other. Why we have images about ourselves and images of pictures about others. If you have an image as a Swiss or a British or French and so on, do not those images not only distort our observation of humanity, but also do they not separate? And therefore, wherever there is separation, division, there must be conflict. As there is conflict going on in the Middle East, the Arab against the Israelite, the Muslim against the Hindu, the Christian against all the rest of the world. Is it possible not to create an image at all? You understand? That is, not to record an incident which may be pleasurable or painful in that particular relationship, not to record either the insult or the flattery, the encouragement or discouragement. You follow? All that is taking place in our daily relationship, is that possible not to record at all? Are we meeting each other? Because if the brain is constantly recording everything that's happening to it psychologically, then it is never free to be quiet. It can never be tranquil, peaceful. If the machinery is operating all the time, it wears itself out, which is obvious. And this is what happens in our relationship with each other. Is it possible not to create an image about each other? Because that image, the remembrance of things past, which is the image, divides people. It's not only the image, but if I'm ambitious, competing, trying to become chief executive or psychologically something or other, and my wife is also doing something else equally in other directions, how can we have a relationship? You understand my question? Apparently very few of us are free of any form of image. The freedom from image is real freedom. Right? Because then, in that freedom, there is no division brought about by images.
you are my father, and I understand through my watching you that if I am smart, you will like me. Yeah.
You see, the child you talk about depended on the image that his father loves him.
That's right.
And therefore everything goes when his father doesn't love him. Everything is gone, right?
Right, right.
And therefore he's hurt, right?
That's right.
Do you impose an image on the child? Because you are bound to, because you have an image.
You're trying to. Yes.
You have to.
Well, no, you're working at it, and the child picks it up or he doesn't pick it up.
Because you have an image about yourself, you're bound to create an image in the child.
That's right. Yeah.
That's it. You follow, you've discovered.
Yes.
See, if the steady process of building an image didn't occur, then there would be no basis for, no structure to get hurt. You see, that's the...
Mm-hmm.
See, that, in other words, the pain is due entirely to some psychological factor, some thought which is attributed to me, you see, in saying, I am suffering this pain.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas I was previously enjoying the pleasure of saying my father loves me, I'm doing what he wants. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now comes the pain, I'm not doing what he wants, and he doesn't love me.
So if you're this way, I'm with you. If you're not that way...
But you see, society is doing this to every human being, right? Mm-hmm. Church is doing it. Churches, religions, politics, everything, culture around us is creating this image. I'm a Catholic, I'm a Protestant, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Zen monk, I'm this, I'm that. You follow, they're all images.
Right.
If there is an image of that kind, how can you have love in all this?
Well, we don't have an abundance of it.
We don't have it.
That's right.
See, suppose the parent and child have images of each other.
Yeah.
And the relationship is governed by those images. Now, the question is whether that is actually a relationship or not, or whether it's some sort of fantasy of a relationship.
As long as you have an image about yourself, you have no relationship.
That's right.
With another.
All we know somehow or other is images and image making and thought. That's all we know.
But we've never said, can it stop?
We've never said, can it stop? That's right.
We never said, for God's sake, if it doesn't stop, we're going to destroy each other. The Arab has his image, the Jew, the Hindu, the Muslim, the Christian, the non... You follow?
Right.
Communist. It's this tremendous division of images.
Mm-hmm.
Symbols,
yeah.
all the rest of it.
Yeah.
If that doesn't stop, you're going to have such a chaotic world.
How can it stop?
Not how. Then you enter into the question of systems, mechanical process, which is part of our image making. If I tell you how, then you tell me the system, the method, the practice. I'll do it every day, and I'll get the new image.
Yes.
Now, I see the fact that's going on in the world.
I got it. I'm with you, yeah.
Fact, not my reactions to it, not my romantic, fanciful theories, what you should not do. It is a fact that as long as there are images, there is no going to be peace in the world, no love in the world. Whether the Christ image or the Buddha image or the Muslim, you follow, there won't be peace in the world. Right? I see it as a fact.
Right.
Right? I remain with that fact. I have experienced something yesterday that has left a mark. That is knowledge. And with that knowledge, I meet next experience. So the next experience is translated in terms of the old. And therefore, that experience is never new.
So in a way, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that the experience that I had yesterday, that I recall,
recollection, yes.
Recollection, upon my meeting something new, that appears to have some relationship to it, I approach on the basis of holding my previous knowledge up as a mirror in which to determine the nature of this new thing that I have confronted.
Quite.
Yes. And this could be a rather crazy mirror.
Generally it is. So you see, that's what I mean.
Yes, I follow.
Where is the beginning, or where is freedom in relation to knowledge? Or is freedom something other than the continuity of knowledge?
Must be something other.
Which means, if one goes into it very, very deeply, it means the ending of knowledge.
Yes.
And what does that mean? What does it mean to end knowledge? Whereas I have lived entirely on knowledge.
Yes.
How am I? Look, take this very simple fact. You insult me or praise me. That remains a knowledge. With that image, with that knowledge, I meet you. I never meet you. The image meets you.
Exactly.
Therefore, there is no relationship between you and me.
Yes, because between us, this has been interposed.
Obviously.
Yes.
Therefore, how is that image to end? Never to register. You follow?
I can't depend on someone else to end it for me.
Therefore, what am I to do? How am I? How is this mind, which is registering, recording all the time, is the brain, function of the brain is to record all the time. How is it to be free of knowledge? When you have done some harm to me, personally or collective, whatever it be, you have insulted me, you have flattered me. How is the brain not to register that? If it registers, it's already an image. It's a memory. And the past then meets the present. So, what place has knowledge in human relationship? Knowledge in the sense, past experience, tradition, image.
Yes.
What has the observer, who is the observer, all that is the observer, what place has the observer in human relationship? Has the observer any place at all in relationship? I say no. The moment he comes into existence in relationship, there is no relationship.
The relationship is not.
Is not. That's
it's
right.
not something that is in disrelationship.
Yes, that's right.
We're talking about something that in fact does not even exist.
This division is the factor of real violence and hatred. Security means permanency. And is there anything in life permanent? So we are seeking in relationship security and permanency. That very concept, and please listen to this for a minute, that very concept of demanding security and permanency is translated as attachment. Right? So there is a deep attachment to another. It may be for a month, for a week, or 50 years. And during the state of attachment, there is all the conflict of jealousy, suspicion, fear, gain and loss. You know all this, don't you? Suppose the speaker or you have not this sense of security and permanency. That doesn't mean anything. Suppose. Then what is relationship? You understand? Permanency and attachment, and with all its pain and pleasure and anxiety and fear, is not love. And if the absence of that entirely, deeply, profoundly, the other is like a flower that's blooming. You may hold the hand of another, embrace another, walk together, but inwardly you are separate from the other. That's a fact. Do face it. And so there's perpetual conflict between the two. And one asks, is it possible to live in relationship with another without conflict? Is our relationship based on memory? If it is remembrance, if it is various images, then all that is the product of thought. Then one asks, is thought love? Do please ask these questions of yourself, not that I'm prompting you. Can there be peace between human beings? Whatever their color, their race, their language, their so-called culture. And to find that peace, there must be peace between you and another. between you, your wife, your children, you understand? Can there be peace? Which means no conflict. Where there is no conflict, there is something far greater than the activity of thought.